Well, today we are doing something unique, different, and
And
new
ve- and
for
ve-
our
and
channel.
very scary for Drake.
Drake finds this idea very scary. I, however, don't, but that's because I've been on YouTube longer and I don't care if you're raging in the comments. I've had plenty of rage in the comments.
I just want people to like me.
You should have seen their expressions when I said George R.R. Martin has a D-tier magic system. I thought the internet was going to explode.
Yeah.
So, today, what we are doing is we are looking at published authors, authors with a significant book sales published from traditional publishing houses, and we are reading their first chapter, and
No,
we are going to
first
be,
page.
sorry, first page, the first page of their book, and we are going to discuss we're going to discuss the interiority we get, the connection we feel from the character, the writing craft, all of that kind of detail about just these first pages. Now we've got 9 of them lined up. We'll see if we get to all 9 of them. And Drake doesn't know who these are. I know, obviously, because I've collected them. So I know who these people are. I know, where it comes from and so on. And what we'd like you to do is, if you recognize it, comment in the comments down below which you recognize. And at the end, I will give a list of acknowledgement. This is all being done in the spirit of education, and it's being used under the fair use education principle. And we'll provide the credits at the end.
Releasing your inner dragon.
I
Oh,
just
go
want
ahead.
to emphasize this is not this is what we think of the book. This is not a this is what we think of the authors. This is just what do we think of this first page taken in isolation from a craft perspective. That's
Yes.
all that this is. Okay?
I'm actually excited about this, even though I am trepidatious as well, or have some trepidation, however you want to say that. Because one of the things that me and you do is we push craft. We really push writers to think about writing better than just, you know, and I've told this a million times on this show where it's like I'll be at a writers convention and somebody will let me read a little bit of their stuff and I'll like, You're not going to get this published." And they're like, "What are you talking about? It's written exactly like Lord of the Rings." I'm like, "Yeah, and it's not 1954. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is not how we write today. This is not what readers today are looking for. And plus, half the people who bought Lord of the Rings didn't finish it. So, just saying. So we push hard. But why? Why do we push hard? Because I don't know what you're going to throw at me. I have no idea. But I'm going to treat it exactly like I treat every other edit that we do on this show, where I'm just going to edit it. If there's filtering, if there's just dumb writing that I think could improve or whatever, I'm going to call it out. And yet, these are already successful. They are already massive fan bases and everything like that. And so the cool thing about this to me is to say, me and you, Marie, know that the good writing by itself is not what makes a book successful. The number one thing that makes a book successful, period, bar none, well, there's a lot of luck involved, but beyond luck, the number one thing that's controllable that makes a book successful is marketing. That's it. Do people know your book exists? So
And
I'm
in the genre that they like, which is why genre is a
yeah,
marketing tool,
right,
not
right.
anything else. Because I've had people
But
go,
like,
"That's against the rules of genre." I'm like, the only rule of genre is the marketing rule.
right, exactly. But like, I'm rereading one of my beloved books from the '80s, and the writing is so bad, and I didn't remember it when I was 14, that I don't know if I'm going to finish it. And it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But this is me ruining my childhood. Obviously, that bad writing didn't stop its success. But here's some things. First of all, there wasn't a lot in the fantasy genre in the '80s. There was a handful that were marketed that people knew about. This is one of those. So marketing was much less competitive back then. Uh, and that's really the key. the reason why we push so hard on the craft is no, writing pristine, perfect prose that's flawless and emotional and immersive and interiority heavy and all this other stuff. No, that will not guarantee your success in this industry. But for me, the reason why I push myself, and I think you're much the same, is that we know how hard it is to get that reader. And when you get that reader, if your writing is basically the same as everyone else's, then you're not standing out in any way. So maybe you pick that person up as a fan because they connect with your characters and love the story and all of that. But with just a little bit of effort, a little bit of work, so many people write in a pretty bad way.
Yeah.
My wife is reading a book that she really enjoyed, that it has a movie made out of it. And it's recent. I mean, this is all in the 2020s. So the book came out in the 2020s and the movie came out in the 2020s. Massively successful. And she wanted me to listen to a little bit of it because she was, after we watched the movie, she was listening to it on audio. I got like 4 lines into it and I was like, no, stop. My ears are bleeding. This is because it was written in third person present tense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I can't even listen to that. It hurts so bad. But this was the guy's first novel, even though he's been a professional writer for about 30 years. But what has he done for 30 years? He's written scripts.
Yeah.
And scripts are written in third person present tense, which is why they're crappy to read. They're telly and horrible. But when an actor's looking at a script and it needs to say, and then your character walks across the stage.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense. If it said, and then your character walked across the stage, you're like, so he's already walked across the stage?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm excited about this because, again, what this exercise is hopefully going to help show is, no, the good writing is not the be all end all. What the good writing will do is, if you get that reader, if you do get that opportunity where somebody picks up your book and reads it, the better written it is, the more chances of that reader becoming a fan.
Yes.
And that's why that's important. Because I guarantee you, every one of these successful books, or at least I'm guessing, I don't know because I have no idea what I'm about to walk into, but I'm probably willing to guess that a lot of these had massive marketing budgets, maybe even some of them made into movies, which also is a marketing thing. So all of that is what goes to selling the story, not the writing, not the story even itself. It's all that marketing behind it. I mean, as we always say, no one defends 50 Shades of Grey because it's so horribly written, and yet
And
it's
yet it's
sold
sold
an insane number of books.
150 million copies, baby.
Yeah.
All right. So without further ado, let's get going. Can you see my screen?
It's coming up. Yep.
All right. Story 1. There was a harsh gale blowing on the night Yarvi learned he was a king, or half a king at least. A seeking wind, the Getlanders called it, for it found out every chink and keyhole, moaning Mother Sea's dead chill into every dwelling, no matter how high the fires were banked or how close the folk were huddled. It tore at the shutters in the narrow windows of Mother Gundrink's chambers and rattled even the iron-bound door in its frame. It taunted the flames in the fire pit, and they spat and crackled in their anger, casting clawing shadows from the dried herbs hanging, throwing flickering light upon the root that Mother Gundrig held up in her knobbled fingers. And this? It looked like nothing so much as a clod of dirt, but Yarvi had learned better. Black-tongue root. And why might a minister reach for it, my prince? A minister hopes they won't have to. Boiled in water, it can't be seen or tasted, but it is a most deadly poison. Mother Gundrig tossed the root aside. Ministers must sometimes reach for dark things. Ministers must find the lesser evil, said Yarvi, and weigh the greater good. 5 right from 5. Mother Gundrig gave a single approving nod, and Yarvi flushed with pride. The approval of Getland's minister was not easily won. And the riddles on the test will be easier. The test, Yarvi rubbed nervously at the crooked palm of his bad hand with the thumb of his good. You will pass. You can't be sure. And that's the first page.
And I definitely would not keep reading.
Okay.
And I definitely don't know. I've never read this.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what
Yeah.
this is. But if I was doing a look inside, because that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm trying to find the next book to read. And that's why I keep going back to like the 80s and the 90s and destroying my childhood, because everything I'm reading today, very few of it, I'm enjoying. So not that there's not, and it's not the best. It's not the best written, but I will throw in a plug to Dungeon Crawler Carl. I have really enjoyed that series. All right, so here's some problems that I have out of this right out of the gate. If this was being brought to me, as one of my students, there's no scene setting. I know there's a fire pit. I know there's some herbs, but I don't know anything else about this world. I can't see anything. I don't even Mother Gundren. What does she even look like? Is she even human? It literally says nothing about her. Not even anything. I don't think there's one single piece of description on her at all. Same thing with Yarvi. There's not one single. I have no idea what he is other than a half king, whatever that means. Also, for the first 3 paragraphs, the wind is our POV. And that is a trick. That is a gimmick that a lot of people use, where they start off with this thing. And I get it. There's nothing wrong with it. The reason why I push back against it is because I know that books are sold in 2 ways. Recommendations, which you'll give it way more time if your friend recommended it than you would normally. And then the look inside. And the look inside, you get a page. Why spend a quarter of a page trying to connect the reader to an inanimate object when you can just go ahead and immediately try and viscerally connect them to that POV character? So that's why I'm against it. Not that it's bad. So many books start this way, like billions. The Wheel of Time literally made its name by starting this way.
So I will say that I would not continue because I did not connect with Yarvi.
Yeah. There's no interiority at all.
Yeah. Part of that is because we spend, I would say, 2 paragraphs effectively, I don't know, mood setting maybe, with a description of the wind.
Yeah.
Without actually giving any context or meaning to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the craft is okay. Like the
craft is actually really tight. It's good prose.
There's no filtering. There's very little filtering.
Right.
No, there's no
lot of talking
filtering.
heads. There's a lot of talking heads, which is again
there's
why
a lot
there's
of
no
talking heads. There's a lot of talking heads, absolutely. But there's no like filtering or stuff like. There's no huge egregious faults. It's quite a tight style.
Other than the opening line, there's not even a lot of telling.
Yes.
But that opening line, why would you have your opening line be
a flash forward?
Oh, is it?
Well, he hasn't learned it yet. He'll learn it during the course of this chapter.
Oh, it's also very omniscient.
Yeah.
As opposed to being in the character, which is not a big deal. It's free indirect discourse. So we start off omniscient and then we move into that.
There's no interiority. For me, there's no interiority here.
Yeah, there's no interiority. There's no connection. I don't know Yarvi's motivation. I don't know why the camera is here. Why did we start the story here?
The first moment we get actual interiority is where we realize that he's nervous about the test that's coming up, which is down on line 25.
Right. But we're not connected to Yarvi. We're not connected. We don't even know what this test is. So why do we care?
Yeah.
There's nothing in here that makes us care about that. But there's one last thing I do want to talk about this, because this is a big pet peeve of mine. It irks the crap out of me when writers willy-nilly break standardized formatting. Standardized formatting
is a British author.
I don't care. They use quotes.
Yeah, but they use single quotes quite often.
No.
Yes, they do. They do. They do. Trust me, some of them. It's a British standard to use single quotes. I swear to God, that's why you sometimes come across it.
I mean, Lord of the Rings isn't that way, and he's a British author. Terry Pratchett isn't that way. He's a British author. I mean, I've never read a British author that does this.
That's because you read the American books. This is the British version. They're published by two different branches. I promise
Do they
you.
literally go through and change the quotes?
Yes. Yes. This is the British version.
All right. I will believe you,
And
even
I
though I'm
know because I have print
incredibly skeptic.
versions that have got different quotes depending on whether I bought them out of England or out of United
Wow.
States.
Okay, you learn something every day, and I
Yeah.
learn something every
So
day.
I just thought I'd cut off that rant because it actually is like this is actually just because it comes out of the island.
I, yeah, I don't believe you, but I'm gonna believe you because you don't lie to me ever.
I
Um,
promise you.
well, let me finish that thought
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay.
So if this is standardized formatting for British readers, it's insane to me, but I am American, so everything outside of America is insane to me. But if it isn't, because I do have, I mean, like I know an author who puts parentheses around her dialogue,
Yeah, but that's terrible.
and she gets a lot of 1-star reviews because of it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you do this? Why?
You only break standard formatting if you really have a good reason for it. But single formatting is acceptable around dialogue. Uh, it is acceptable. Like it's
All right.
acceptable in British English.
Well, the
So if
reason
you're
why standardized formatting is so important is it is a non-verbal contract between the
yeah,
prose and the reader so that the reader 100% knows how to read the book.
yes.
So it's not there for what you think looks good. It's not there
Mm.
for how you want something done. It's not there to go, oh, I'm going to do this different so that I stand out. No, you won't stand out. You are literally just going to piss people off. So, like,
Yeah.
when I got to, and this being the first piece of dialogue in here, I was like, so how am I supposed to read that? Is that something that's said out loud? Is it in
Mm.
his head? Is it inner monologue? Is it some type of future speak that's just this generic
Yeah.
thing? Now, once I got to, and why might a minister reach for it, my prince, I realized, oh,
It's dialogue.
but there was 3 lines of me going, I don't know how to read this book.
So the funny thing is that there's the reason why I don't like using single quotes and why I won't use them even if I was writing for England is because it's too easy to confuse them with a, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
an
so
apostrophe.
so I would rather just go for the double quotes and nobody can confuse double quotes for anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean it is technically acceptable to use single quotes.
Okay,
Anyway,
I did not know that.
yeah.
Um, I wholeheartedly disagree with it because also there's other reasons for single quotes. There's reasons to use single quotes in prose.
100%. Like
I did,
yeah. I
I,
wouldn't use single quotes for a lot of reasons, but I mean, technically it's fine. Like,
well,
I mean,
last night at group, I read the first chapter of my next Harnworld story.
mm,
And there's a line where the character remembers something his mentor said to him. And so you single quote and put that in italics, and they know that it's just a memory of dialogue that was said in the
mm,
past.
mm,
And so you lose that ability when you're using single quotes for all of your dialogue. And then
100%.
yeah, the apostrophe at the end,
Yeah,
like
makes it very weird.
it
But
makes
okay,
you
so that was
might
yeah, that was our first one. Neither of us would continue with it. If you know what it
yeah.
is, drop it in the comments. Number two. Now I want to go like Mumbo number two. Anyway, I'm old. Viv buried her greatsword in the Skalvert skull with a meaty crunch. Black blood thrummed in her hands, and her muscular arms strained as she tore it back and out in a spray of gore. The Skalvert queen gave a long, vibrating moan, and then thundered to the stone in a heap. With a sigh, Viv slumped to her knees. The persistent twinge in her lower back flared up, and she dug in the knuckles of one huge hand to chase it away. Wiping sweat and blood from her face, she stared down at the dead queen. Cheers and shouts echoed from behind her. She leaned closer. Yes, there it was, right above the nasal cavity. The beast's head was twice as wide as she was, all improbable teeth and uncountable eyes, with a huge underslung jaw, and in the middle, the fleshy seam she'd read about. Jamming her fingers into the fold, she pried it open. A sickly golden light spilled out. Viv slid her whole hand into the pocket of flesh, curled her fist around a faceted organic lump, and yanked. It came free with a fibrous, ripping sound. Fennis moved to stand behind her. She could smell his perfume. Is that it, then? He asked, only a little interested. Yep, Viv groaned as she hoisted herself to her feet, using black blood as a crutch. Without bothering to clean the stone, she stuffed it into a pouch on her bandolier, then propped the great sword on her shoulder. And that's truly all you want? Fennis squinted up at her. His long, beautiful face was amused. He gestured at the walls of the cavern where the Skalvert queen had entombed untold wealth within sheaths of hardened saliva. Wagons, chests, and the bones of horses and men hung suspended amongst gold, silver, and gemstones, the shiny castaways of centuries. Yep, she said again, we're square. The rest of the party approached. Rune, Tivus, and little Galina brought with them the exhausted but exultant chatter of the victorious. Rune combed muck from his beard, Galina sheathed her daggers, and Tivus glided behind them both, tall and watchful. They were a good crew. Viv turned away and strode toward the cavern's entrance, where dim light still filtered through. Where are you going? Hollered Rune in his rough, affable voice. Out. But aren't you gonna? Began Galina. Someone shushed her, most likely Fennis. Viv felt a prick of shame. She liked Galina the most, and probably should have taken the time to explain. But she was done. Why drag things out? She didn't really want to talk about it, and if she said anything more, she might change her mind. After 22 years of adventuring, Viv had reached her limit of blood and mud and bullshit. An orc's life was strength and violence and a sudden sharp end. But she'd be damned if she'd let hers finish that way. It was time for something new.
Why don't you start with this one?
Okay, so I would have liked, so I like the fact that we start in media res, and I know we don't get an explanation of the fight because this is a setup for a story that goes after life after adventuring, right? Which is why we don't get any explanation for any of this stuff. We're just like, boop, here you go, end of the fight.
Yeah.
like, but I would have liked to have known, maybe in paragraph 1 that Viv was an orc. Like I would have liked to have known that earlier, because otherwise in my head, Viv's a human.
Right. Because then lines on like 36, her huge hand, first of all, no one would describe their hands as huge unless there's some type of deformity. So she's the POV. Her hands may be huge to the author or to a human or to an ant, but to her, they're the exact right size.
Yeah.
So that's a weird way, since you're writing in limited. One of the things that I really try to push people is when you're writing in limited, you have to describe the world as the POV would describe it, not as the reader would describe it, or you, the author, would describe it, or whatever. And so the huge hands threw me out because again, you're right. I don't know she's an orc. It does make me think that she's not 100% human or whatever, but I don't know what she is.
But if you said green hand there, that would have been fine.
Right.
Because describing the color of your skin, because that's not something relative to something else. Because relative to something else, you look normal to you. But if you said the green hand, that immediately gives me, oh, okay, not human. Definitely not human. And because humans don't have green skin. And it doesn't give me this, why are you talking about your hands as huge?
Right. So yes and no. I feel that's, as you know, Bob, dialogue, because I would not write, and then Drake reached his white hand over and picked up his phone.
But
so that's
you
weird
would
to me.
write,
Now,
he brushed his blonde hair behind his ear.
Yeah. That doesn't seem as egregious to me.
Yeah, but it's same.
It is. But what I was going to is you have an opportunity here because you have her black blood.
Yeah.
So what you can do is she can reach in and you can contrast the black blood against her green skin, because that is something that seems more organic to me. So I agree with you bringing up the green skin. I'm just saying I wouldn't say green hand because that's a little too, even though you're right. I do sometimes say, he thumbed his long blonde hair or whatever. in the
Yeah.
opening novella that I have going right now, there's a line that says the wind whipped his long black hair into a. I just don't find that as egregious for some reason. And these are all subjective opinions,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, because I don't know, it
Yeah.
doesn't. Maybe because you don't see your hair that often, so when the wind does blow it in front of your face, you might
Yeah.
think about its color. But also maybe because I have really short hair and I never see my hair.
But either way, like it would have been good to know she's an
Oh yeah,
orc
no, we're 100% agreement on
early.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agreement on that. And then the
Uh,
other is completely subjective. If green
yeah.
hand doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
Um, you could push it a little bit and become a little bit more organic with it. With a, like I said, you have the opportunity because you have black blood. Or wait, that's the sword. We don't
Yeah.
know what the color of the
No, we
queen's
don't know
blood.
what color of blood. The
So
sword's
yeah,
name is Black Blood.
that could give us two things at one time. We could get the color of the queen's blood and the color of the character's skin
Yeah.
right there in one really cool contrast between what it looks like pooling
Yeah.
on her hand. But
100%.
yeah, that was my only thing that I wrote. And then the only 55 actually needs to start a new paragraph. The prose is great. It doesn't have much interiority,
Yeah, I was about to
but
say I would have liked
well,
like I would have liked more interiority when she's reaching for the gem. The gem is like the thing that allows her to start her new life.
yeah,
Like I would have
that I
liked
agree with.
more impact on that
Yeah,
moment where she's reaching for the gem.
yeah. Because this is the culmination of everything I've been fighting for.
Yeah.
That's special to me. And so that would be there. Now, that being said, I think that's about the only place I'd like to see some deep
Yeah.
interiority on this.
The rest of the interiority is fine. Like I've got no
Well,
particular
it's even more than that because by the lack of that interiority, that
Mm,
is actually the hook that's driving me forward. Because I'm like, why? Why is she quitting? What is this? And so by not giving us that
mm,
information, I actually think is the really cool hook that's in this piece.
yeah.
I'm gonna want to know the I don't know if again, we're talking about first pages. This has nothing to do with whether the story's any good.
Yeah.
But I am gonna want to know the title of this because I am gonna check this one out. I would keep reading.
100%.
Um, and I haven't read this,
Yeah.
so at least from the first page, I'm not puking in my mouth.
Yeah, so I
So
think
I'm
that the craft is fairly solid. I would have worked out that she felt a prick of shame. Like I
well,
would have
yeah,
gone like shame pricked her because
yeah,
I am so
yeah,
picky about the word felt.
yeah. Yeah,
But
that was the last thing that I had on here.
yeah,
Um, but it's not telly.
it's
You
not
got that
terrible.
one, you got that
Yeah,
one tell, that one crappy tell
yeah.
on 65, but
It's not tally. It's nice and tight craft. It's got
well,
solid in
and let's use this as a learning experience. So 65. So what's written is Viv felt a prick of shame.
yeah,
She liked Galena. Nothing wrong with that. But now let's make it showy. A prick of shame or shame pricked
yeah,
Viv. I mean, if we just use the words, I'm not trying to make up any
yeah.
words here, but even just changing around like that, shame pricked.
Shame pricked Viv. She liked
Yeah,
Galena the most and
yeah,
probably should have taken the time to explain.
yeah.
Like that's great.
Now we could get fancy with it.
Yeah,
Shame's venomous bite sank its teeth to Viv. Like we could get fancy with it,
yeah.
but any of those things just and yeah, it's one stupid line,
Mm,
but those lines add up.
yeah,
And so instead of this telly, that's why feel and felt, we have that rule. We don't use it in narration unless it's a tactile feel and felt.
yeah,
No emotions, no interiority, no nothing. Feel and felt is banned from that
yeah.
because it's such a horrible telly word.
Exactly.
But we're talking, I had 3 edits. The
Mm,
huge hands threw me out. Needs a paragraph on 55. The rest of the party approached. It's its own
yeah,
paragraph. So,
yeah,
yep, she said again, we're square. That's the end of that paragraph. Now we're into everyone else's paragraph. And that would just be one because it's a group paragraph.
yeah,
And then the feel or the felt tell.
yeah,
This is good. This is some really
yeah.
good stuff. And I'm interested. I'm engaged. I actually care. I want to learn. I mean, I bought a book. It was awful. And I'm not going to finish it, but I bought a book because the POV character was a mimic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, how do you pull this off? Um, In that writer's case, he didn't. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. So
I
we
still
will.
bought the book.
Yeah. You'll get the name, the title, and the author at the end of this.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
I want to check that one out.
So let's move on to 3. Lucivar Yaslana, the Aran half-breed, watched the guards drag the sobbing man to the boat. He felt no sympathy for the condemned man who had led the aborted slave revolt. The territory called Prul, in the territory called Prul, sympathy was a luxury no slave could afford. He had refused to participate in the revolt. The ringleaders were good men, but they didn't have the strength, the backbone, or the balls to do what was needed. They didn't enjoy seeing blood run. He had not participated. Zulta, the queen of Prul, had punished him anyway. The heavy shackles around his neck and wrists had already rubbed his skin raw, and his back was a throbbing ache from the lash. He spread his dark, membranous wings, trying to ease the ache in his back. A guard immediately prodded him with a club, then retreated, skittish at his soft hiss of anger. Unlike the other slaves who couldn't contain their misery or fear, there was no expression in Lucivar's gold eyes, no psychic scent of emotions for the guards to play with as they put the sobbing man into the old one-man boat. No longer seaworthy, the boat showed gaping holes in its rotten wood, holes that only added to its value now. The condemned man was small and half-starved. It took 6 guards to put him into the boat. 5 guards held the man's head, arms, and legs. The last guard smeared bacon grease on the man's genitals before sliding a wooden cover into place. It fit snugly over the boat, with holes cut out for the head and hands. Once the man's hands were tied to iron rings on the outside of the boat, the cover was locked into place so that no one but the guards could remove it. One guard studied the imprisoned man and shook his head in mock dismay. Turning to the others, he said, "He should have a last meal before being put to sea." The guards laughed. The man cried for help. One by one, the guards carefully shoved food into the man's mouth before herding the other slaves to the stables where they were quartered. "You'll be entertained tonight, boys," a guard yelled, laughing. "Remember it next time you decide to leave Lady Zulta's service." Lucivar looked over his shoulder, then looked away. Drawn by the smell of food, the rats slipped into the gaping holes in the boat. The man in the boat screamed. Okay. Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I wasn't engaged. I wouldn't, if I was reading the first page and a look inside, I wouldn't continue reading. And again, I'm a character driven writer. I'm a character driven reader. I don't connect to Lucivar.
Yeah.
And it's because this opening scene overpowers this moment.
Yeah.
So it's so big, but we don't get anything, like we don't get any, if it was tied into Lucivar better, like what is he feeling? What is he experiencing as this is happening? Maybe. But also all of this stuff is backstory.
This is the problem with starting with a massive piece of trauma. Because that's what this is. This is a massive trauma start. The problem with starting with a massive piece of trauma is not so much that the reader hasn't connected to the character yet, although that is part of the problem. The bigger problem is that the scene is so overwhelming that the reader can't connect to the character. Because I can't connect to Lucifer's emotions because I'm thinking about a dude who's getting drowned in rats.
Yeah, he's about to get his genitals eaten off.
Yeah.
One nibble at a time.
Yeah. I mean, that.
Yeah.
So I might continue reading because I do like dark, and this has the promise of dark, but this is a very dicey opening, as openings go.
And here's the difference. So I consider myself a dark grim writer. I'm not a grim dark writer, but I'm a
Mm,
dark grim writer. This is a scene I would write, except for me, the physical stuff is just the window dressing.
mm,
My darkness would come from the emotional trauma that was being experienced by the character and therefore by the reader.
yeah,
But to experience that emotional trauma for the reader, they can't experience it until they actually care.
yeah,
Until you make them care about the character, then the emotional trauma that the character goes through does not feed over to the reader.
yeah.
Once you have connected them, any emotional trauma, like if I love Lucifer and I loved what he was trying to do and hate that he was having to go through this, now this scene impacts me greatly. So this
Mm,
is definitely a scene I would write. It's just that I would write it after I had already got the reader connected to the character so that they would suffer. The reader would
mhm.
suffer as much as Lucifer was suffering during this. They would feel that fear, that terror, that disgust, that
Yeah.
horror of watching one of your friends or even just one of your
Mm.
slave mates going through this. And but since it's the
And
opening page, you don't get that.
well, and here's the additional problem. Besides it being the opening page, we get none of Lucifer's emotions.
Right. Yeah, there's no interiority.
There's no interiority here. There's the hint of it in that he was punished and that the ringleaders were good men and he didn't think they had what it takes, but he was punished anyway. Like,
We also
but-
get that he doesn't feel
yeah,
any sympathy
yeah,
for them.
yeah. So it doesn't impact me because of that. Like it doesn't have the
Right.
same impact. So yeah, for me, there's not enough interiority here to keep going. Like, and other than
Right.
that, there's a couple. Like, I don't like the fact that we open with a filter.
Right.
You know,
Um,
I get why you're doing the filter because the action is there, but I don't
yeah,
like it.
because of the way it's written in the opening line, you have to
Yeah,
almost do this. Because otherwise you'd say the guards drag the sobbing man to the boat, and you're like, now you're even less connected because
yeah.
you don't even know who the POV is.
No, I
Um,
get it,
but but
but
the other
still,
problem that I have with this is it's all backstory.
yeah,
So obviously this story has nothing to do with the rebellion that just happened.
yeah,
The rebellion that just happened will have impact on the story, but the story is not the rebellion. So you could actually start me a little bit after this
mm,
and allow organically the ramifications of this rebellion to be
mm,
organically threaded in as it matters to me at the story. And then I would learn that they've already gone down this path. They've
yeah,
already tried to do this rebellion. It's already failed. Um, and you could organically build because I'm guessing, I don't know anything about the story. But I'm guessing that Lucifer is eventually going to lead a rebellion. That's what it
yeah,
seems like to me. So learning that he was a part of a rebellion or watched a rebellion, he didn't actually wasn't a part of it. It says that explicitly. But the fact that he was around during a rebellion and saw it fail and knew, kind of understood why it failed, with the
mm,
fact that they're not willing to do what needs to be done, that's important to the story, but not now. It's
yeah.
not important now until it's important. And so, because this is all backstory as well, you're trying to connect me to events that already happened.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I agree. Like this was not a good media restart for me. And this whole
yeah,
thing is just an info dump.
yeah.
An info
And
dump I didn't need.
I wouldn't start before this because
Yeah.
again, at least by what I'm guessing the story's about. Since this rebellion is not what the story's about, moving back in time to actually show this rebellion does nothing.
Yeah.
So what I would do is this would be plotting that I would use in my as a writer. I would
Yeah.
start a little bit after this. I would connect my reader to the character's life and the suffering and their slave and all this other stuff. And then as the bubbles of rebellion come back into play, that's when the reader would start learning of no, 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 no. You know, I've already been through this. I'm not
Mm,
doing that shit again,
yeah.
or however it works out. But I think you can give that to them very, very organically without info dumping. No flashback. I just don't do flashbacks.
Yeah.
But this is a great example of how dialogue is so great for giving backstory because, and I'm taking liberties here, but John comes up and is like, Lucifer, we have to rebel. And he's like, no, 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 I've already done that. I've already seen that. Like, you weren't around back then, but let me tell you what happened, because this is what happened, and this is what they did wrong, and this is what you're going to do wrong. Don't do this. This is stupid. And then it feels active. It feels like we're not being info dumped on, because Lucifer is just telling John, you're being an idiot. This, I already know this information, but the reader gets it and they don't realize they're being info dumped at, because it happens in that conversation. So don't underestimate the power of using conversation
Yeah,
as a media for, or as a medium for giving information to your readers. It's a very organic feeling way to the reader, because they do not know that you're really just giving them information. They don't
100%.
feel it. So I would not
All right.
read. Sorry.
No, I'm largely with you. All right. 4. Scarpen Quarter, Breccia City, Breccia Hall, Level 2. The man lying next to Lord Reka Feldspar was dead. His eyes stared upward past her shoulder, sightless, the vividness of their blue already fading. For a while, blood had seeped from his wounded chest onto her tunic, but that had slowed, then stopped. She did not know his name, although she had known him by sight. He'd been a guard at Breccia Hall, younger than she was, 18, 20, too young to die. The man on top of her was dead too. He was a red duner. His head lay on her chest, and the beads threaded onto his red braids pressed uncomfortably into her breast. But she didn't dare move, not yet. Around her she heard red duner voices still, men, heaving bodies onto pack peeds, talking among themselves, making crude jokes about the dead, coping, perhaps, with the idea that it could so easily have been them. Death or survival, even for the victors, the outcome was often as unpredictable as the gusting of desert wind. Red duners, red men from a land of red sand dunes, flesh-devouring zigger beetles and the medals of black beads. Drovers and nomads and warriors who hankered after a past they thought was noble. A time when rain had been random and they ruled most of the quartern with their tribal savagery. A people who had recently returned to a time of slave raids, living under laws decided by the strength of a man's arm and dispensed by a scimitar or a zig tube. Reka had been a scholar once, and she spoke their tongue well. She could understand them now as they chatted. Those withering bastard rain lords, one was saying, his tone bitter and angry. They took the water from Genelid's eyes when he was fighting next to me, left his eyeballs like dried berries in their sockets, blind as a sandworm. Okay, that's page 1.
Yeah, I was out in the second paragraph. I would have stopped reading.
Okay.
So first of all, it's very confusing with the her pronoun.
So I think I did actually read this book, but I can't remember if I think that the author uses titles without gender. So Lord is
No,
applied
no,
to both men
no,
and
no.
women.
Well, but in this case, Lord is a he.
No, no.
Yes.
The man lying next to Lord Rika fell. I think Rika is her. She's Rika.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, that's see
Yeah.
now. So I'm like all confused. I'm
Yeah.
not grounded. This is that perfect case of head book. The
Mm,
author knows exactly what's going on, but
yeah.
also when I get down to 121, I'm like, oh wait, she's not standing, because I thought she was standing because she was looking down at Lord Reka and the dude that was dead next to her or
Yeah.
him.
No.
So that threw me out, because now I'm like, wait a minute, she's on her back? What? And so there's just, I'm so unmoored. Now the writer sees all of this.
Mm,
Again, head book, paper book. Paper book does not show it.
yeah.
So because of that, I was already floundering, and then we get, a massive info dump on 128 that I don't need. I don't need to know
Yeah.
who the Red Runners are. I don't need to know anything about their history. I don't need to know anything about, the rain. None of that matters in this moment. The only thing
Yeah.
that matters in this moment is connecting me to the POV, and that isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
And then I wrote thanks Captain Obvious on 134. Riker had been a scholar once, and she spoke their tongue well. Okay. And then the next line is, she could understand them now as they chatted. It's like, yeah, well, thanks, Captain Obvious. You literally just said that. Like last sentence. You said the exact same thing twice.
Yeah.
But because we're not grounded in the moment, or because I wasn't grounded in the moment, I'm just floundering. I'm never connecting to anything. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And that is a terrible way, in my opinion, to start a reader into your world when they just don't.
So I was okay with it because when I hit the pronoun on line 115, her shoulders, I was like, oh, okay, she's using, or the author is using non-gendered titles.
I didn't go there.
That's what I normally assume when I because sometimes authors will use completely non-gendered titles as though they're military ranks, because you don't have a captain and a captainess. You know what I mean? Like everybody's just a captain.
Right. And that's fine, but
Yeah.
you can't use a pronoun right after it without teaching the reader.
Yes.
If you're going to go like that, you have to teach the reader what you're doing.
What I would have suggested if I was telling this, I would have cut just the word Lord there. You can introduce the non-gendered titles later.
Exactly.
Because if you say the man lying next to Rika Feldspar was dead, that's fine.
And then you wrote, his eyes stared upward past her shoulder. Yeah. I know that her is Rika.
Rika, yeah.
But with the Lord in there,
yeah,
that's a different person.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that we talk about all the time in the writer's room is be careful when you might use the correct word, but if that correct word has multiple meanings, there's going to be readers that read it as the other meaning. And so then it confuses them. So just choose a different word. And it's the same thing here. Cutting Lord to just make sure that we don't have that confusion, and then introducing the titles later, that would be the way to do this.
Yeah.
But I don't like, what is she feeling? She's literally playing dead as other guys are making crude jokes around her, but she doesn't feel anything.
Yeah. There's very little interiority.
Except for the fact that his braids from his hair are uncomfortable on her breast.
Yeah.
But that's not, like, is that what you're going to worry about? You're about to be found and slaughtered, and you're worried about a little discomfort in your boob? Like, that seems weird to me. So yeah, there's nothing in here to connect me to the character. So
yeah, no, I agree. All right. 5. Alex nailed the jump from the window to the carriage roof, rolled smooth as butter and came up sweet as honey, but botched the much easier jump from carriage roof to ground, twisted her ankle, blundered off balance through the crowd, bounced mouth first into the dung-crusted flank of a donkey, and went sprawling into the gutter. The donkey was quite put out, and its owner even more so. Alex couldn't be sure what he was yelling over the wails of some passing penitents, but it was not flattering. "Fuck yourself!" she screamed at him. A monk warped at her from the carriage with a bloody mouth and that look of sweaty panic tourists get in the holy city. So she shrieked, "And fuck yourself too! Fuck each other!" she added half-hearted as she hobbled away. Swearing's free, after all. She whipped a prayer cloth from a stall while the merchant wasn't looking, which wasn't so much theft in her book as just good reflexes, wrapped it over her head scarf-like, and slipped among the penitents, doing her best pitiful moan. Not difficult, given the pain throbbing up her leg and the prickle of dagger tickling her neck. She raised her hand toward the jagged strip of blue between the mismatched roofs and mouthed a smoking prayer for deliverance. For once, she almost meant it. This is how it goes. Start the evening looking for fun, end the morning begging for forgiveness. God, she felt sick. Stomach churning, burning up her sore throat, and there was the rumor of trouble at her arse end too. Maybe last night's bad meat or this morning's bad prospects. Maybe the money she'd lost or the money she owed. Maybe a little dung on the lips still. Then the unholy stench of the pilgrims, forbidden from washing on their long trek to the holy city, wasn't helping anyone. She twitched a corner of the prayer cloth over her mouth and stole a glance backward, peering through the thicket of arms raised to heaven. There she is! I apparently copied this like a dog's breakfast, but anyway.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
We're not judging formatting.
Yeah. Especially not in this case, because this was all me. Like,
Yeah.
I copied this out of a different app. All right.
I'm in.
Me too.
And I want to know author and title because I mean, nothing's happening here. That's so look at the difference between the ones that I poo-poo on, where a lot of stuff is happening, and then we get to here, and I'm like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
Because I'm connected to her.
Mm.
I care about her. I want to know, I want to know more about her. I'm invested in the character. The prose is fine. There's a felt. I got a few
Yeah, there's a
little
felt and so
I
on.
got a few little gripes, but you have a few little gripes about everything. I don't care about a few little gripes. I overlook those when I'm actually reading for pleasure. But I'm connected to her. I want to know more about her. I want to know why she did what she did. I want to know, everything like that.
Mm.
If this was my student, I'd push them to get a little bit more interiority. It's weird that on 160 or 161, she has pain in her leg and her neck, but not her face that just slammed into an ass's ass. Like, and I like that they did bring back it later, but I think right here is a missed opportunity to remind that we just face planted in a butt. So I missed that. And then the only other thing that I'm worried about is 69, starting with God. So
this is something of a historical fantasy. So it's like in our world, kind of. Our world, but layered with, fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that's fine. If it is a monolistic society, but even if it is a a single God world, that is such a modern colloquialism that if it's a different God, I don't know if I would use that. I would come up with a different term. Now, if this is Earth with just a layer of something new, then that works fine. That actually works really well. But again, I would know that from the cover and the back blurb.
Yeah.
So this wouldn't throw me out if I knew what I was walking into.
Yeah.
Whereas because I don't, it threw me out because I'm like, that's very modern and that's very Earth and that's very, that's very Christian world staying. But if it is this world, then that works perfectly.
Yeah.
But I'm in. Obviously, she's British because we have the Rumour.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a British author.
Yeah, which I'm fine with. And there's double quotes around the dialogue. So
when we come to the credits, I'm going to specifically talk about this because this amused me. This amused that I am obviously also in. This is a book I'm currently reading, so I like the interiority of it. Technically, this is the second chapter. I was in on the first chapter, but I loved the opening of the second chapter. And since it's multi-POV, I was like, I can cheat a little bit and put this one in.
Yeah, because it's Alex's opening chapter.
Yeah, it's Alex's opening chapter. You get nothing from the earlier chapter, so it's like
I'm in. The prose is good. It's active. It's in media res. It's got me moving. There's plenty of hook. But the hook in this, the funny thing is the hook in this is not in the story. The hook in this is in the character.
Yes.
And there's a lot of ways to do that opening hook to give the reader the desire to want it. It could be a question. It could be just a cool situation of the world. It could be whatever. This one, the hook is, okay, I like Alex. I got to learn more about Alex. I want to follow Alex. I want to see what Alex does as she goes through this world. This is me.
Alex, it starts with obviously a pratfall, which is great. I mean, that's always a good way to start, right? She does this great role and then bam, into a donkey. Um,
Yeah.
but then
That's
we,
where I feel like we missed a little interiority.
yeah,
Um, because when right after the sprawling into the gutter, it would have been nice to know how
yeah,
that
how
little
that felt.
fiasco just affected her.
But
And then we would get to the donkey and the owner and the fuck yourself and all of that. And yeah, but no, I'm in. I'm in. This
yeah,
is fun. This is
but
engaging.
I liked this. The swearing is
Yeah,
free after
swearing's
all,
free
you know.
after all.
I was like, yep, I am with you, girl.
Yeah, yeah. But this is using that character driven, and
Yeah,
everybody talks about that. Oh, you should be character driven. You should be. There's a reason for that because that is what connects
yeah,
more readers than not.
yeah,
Some people are fine being connected to the world or being connected to whatever, but way more people, if you can connect them to the character instantly, they're gonna trust you.
yeah. All right. So that was 5, and we will
Like
come
number
back to
5.
that because there's a funny story about that.
I'm
All right.
in.
6. After Stenwald picked up the telescope for the 9th time, Marius said, "You will know first from the sound." The burly man stopped and peered at him, telescope still half poised. From their third-story retreat, the city walls were a mass of black and red, the defenders hurrying into place atop the ramparts and about the gates. "How do you mean, the sound?" Marius, sitting on the floor with his back to the wall, looked up at him. "What you hear now is men braving themselves for a fight. When it starts, they will be quiet, just for a moment. They will brace themselves. Then it will be a different kind of noise." It was a long speech for him. Even from here, Stenwald could hear the constant murmur from the gates. He lowered the telescope reluctantly. "There'll be a great almighty noise when they come in, if all goes according to plan." Marius shrugged. "Then listen for that." Below, there was a quick patter of feet as someone ascended the stairs. Stenwald twitched, but Marius remarked simply, "Tisamon," and went back to staring at nothing. In the room beneath them, there were 9 men and women dressed in the same chain hauberk and helm that Marius wore, and looking enough like him to be family. Steinwald knew their minds were meshed together, touching each other's and touching Marius too, thoughts passing freely back and forth between them. He could not imagine how it must be for them. Tisamon burst in, tall and pale, with thunder in his expression. Even as Stenwald opened his mouth, he snapped out, "No sign, she's not come." "Well, there are always," Stenwald started, but the tall man cut him off. "I cannot think of any reason why she would not come except one," Tisamon spat. Seldom, so very seldom, had Stenwald seen this man angry, and whenever he had been, there was always blood. Tisamon was Mantiskinden, whose people had, when time was young, been the most deadly killers of the lowlands. Even though their time of greatness had passed, and they were still not to be toyed with, they were matchless, whether in single duel or a skirmish of swords, and Tisamon was a master of the deadliest fighter, was a master, the deadliest fighter Stenwald had ever known. "She has betrayed us," Tisamon stated simply. Abruptly, all expression was gone from his angular features. But that was only because it fled inwards. Yeah.
You want to start? Or you want me?
Okay, so I'll start. I was conflicted when I read this. I ended up reading all of it and all of the books that follow on from it. Um,
Okay.
okay. Um, but I was conflicted when I started this because I was like, I don't know if I need this info dump right here about Tisamon. But on the other hand, I liked the opening of the story. And this goes on then, yeah, and then it pulled me through. It pulled me through to the next page, which sold me on the story. But there is a lot to nitpick. There's pronoun confusion here and there. There's a bit of talliness. There's kind of
Filtering.
omniscient view.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I wrote who's POV.
yeah,
I'm not 100% sure because we never have any interiority. We're never really grounded in a character. Um, so the funny thing is before you said that, I'm the exact same way. I'm conflicted. There's nothing in here that's throwing me out. There's
yeah,
nothing in here that I like. There's others that I was like, nope, nope, nope.
mm,
Um, I guess I should say this. one of the things you learn the deeper you get into this industry is because a lot of people will hear this and go, I can't believe you can judge a book, that quickly. Why would you like, what if it's awesome?
Yeah.
The problem is that writers have fingerprints. And so whatever they do in that first page, they're going to continue to do for the rest of the book. And so if there's something in the first page that I can't stand, that I don't want to, it's going to hurt my enjoyment, it's going to be there forever. And so why suffer? But this is one of those where it's like, man, I wish this was one of my students, because there's so much opportunity here to take this just to that next level.
So
Like I said,
it stays like this. It is always kind of written in a, I would call it a not omniscient, but not third person. So it's somewhere between. It's a very much free and indirect, but it doesn't ever fully focus in on a character. It stays that little bit omniscient, but it gives you it gives you character philosophy as interiority as you go. And from that like slightly divorced perspective. So like I said, I actually read, and there are 10 books in this series. I read all 10 of them.
Wow.
so but I was conflicted, and I remembered being conflicted when I read this prologue, because I was like, hey, I'm not out. I'm just not sure I'm fully in, but I'm not out. Let me flip the page.
That's literally exactly what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And so if I was to continue reading and the story was to finally hook me, then I can see myself continue reading. There's nothing in here that makes me stop reading.
Yeah.
Too many names thrown at once. And that's one of the problems with this kind of blasé POV is that since you never really are in any of them, they start to muddy together. And so if you're going to write in this writing style, you really want to be a little more crisp and clean and not get to a scene like this until you've allowed the readers to get used to these characters. Interiority, again, would help with that. Grounding us in a POV would help with that.
I will say one thing for this author. He writes an amazing grand battle scene. Because that's what you go into next. That was actually what hooked me through. I was like, damn, that's a battle.
Yeah. I mean, maybe worth it to read just for that. Because I love a good battle scene. I'll check it out. The other two books I'm gonna buy, and then if they suck, they suck. But there's this one. I'll probably more look at the look inside. If it's on,
take a look at the look inside, read the whole thing, see how you feel.
If it's on Kindle Unlimited, I might go a little deeper than that. This is one of those books that I'm not willing to buy. Unless I am convinced. So this is that I'm on the cusp of when I look at a book like this. There is two learning moments in here if we want to take a look at some things. So 192 is just a horrible filter.
Yes.
Even from here, comma, Stenwald could hear a constant murmur of gates. Now, I don't need to teach how to fix this because he literally does it perfectly on 196. Below,
there was the quick patter of feet.
There was a quick patter of feet as someone ascended the stairs. We don't need the filter, so you could do the same thing here.
What he's trying to do at 192, I think, is he's trying to show how big the sound is.
Yeah.
But you can still do that without the filter. Right?
You could.
Like a constant murmur rode the air from the gates.
Well, what I was going to say is, because none of this actually plants anything. So what I was going to say is use the distance. Though the gate was a half a mile away.
Yes.
The constant murmur from there,
rolled over the air or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Reached even to this building or whatever. There's ways to do it. And then the other, not that that's egregious, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, 100%.
But it was just funny because he had two back-to-back that were a filter and then a non-filter. And the only other thing that I would use as a teaching moment is 205. So what I try to do, for me, it's very important to paint the movie. And so if I'm going to paint the movie of the dialogue, and by the way, the dialogue is single quoted again. So that was
British.
interesting
British
to me.
author.
So if I'm going to paint the picture of dialogue being cut off, I make a
Mm,
point to make sure that the thing that cuts off the dialogue is next.
yes.
Also, why do I need to tell that something cut off this speech when I just showed it with the M dash and the
With the name
cutting off
dash.
a
Yeah.
speech? So I'm gonna go, well, there are always M dash, close quote, new quote. I cannot think of any reason why she couldn't come except one, close quote. And then this is where I'm gonna let the reader know who's the one cutting them off, which
Yeah. Which
you
is Tism
have
on Spat. Yeah.
Tism on Spat. We know that Stinwall started because
Mm,
we literally read it. We know that he was cut off because we literally read it.
yeah.
And this piece of narration in between there actually hurts the line. It isn't cut off
Yeah.
because there's narration between it. So we get, I'm going to speak half, and then I'm going to tell you a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to go
Come
back to
back to the
cutting off
dialogue.
the speech.
Yeah. So I would have put,
And so,
like, I would have put at the beginning, I would have said something like Stenwald, held out his hands pacifyingly. Well, there are always, and then
right.
the M dash, and then immediately into
Yeah.
Tism's line.
Yeah. So just a little thing to think about whenever you use M dashes to cut off speech.
Mm,
If you really pay attention and make sure that the thing that stops it from speaking is the next thing, man, it paints the movie in the reader's mind so flawlessly because they literally see it happening in real time instead of being pulled out for this piece of narration and then back into the movie. So
yeah.
just something to think about. It's one of those little tricks that I use to try and continue to make it to where I get reviews that say when I'm reading Drake, I don't feel like I'm reading a book. I just feel like I'm watching a movie. I don't even remember turning
Yep.
pages. So it's just one of those tricks.
All right.
Oh,
So
you
that
know what?
was,
Let me take a moment.
yeah.
Because that just reminded me. Because I'm putting my money where my mouth is. So I'm starting a new show.
Hmm.
It's not out yet, but it probably will have dropped by the time this episode drops. If not, it will be soon. Regardless, if you go to Starving Writer Studio, it'll be advertised on the front page. But it's going to be called The Author and the Fans. And I am actually every episode going to read an entire chapter of my next novel. I'm going to read the whole novel. So I'm giving the whole novel away for free on podcasts and YouTube. And after I read it, me and some fans are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the story. We're going to talk about, obviously in the first chapter, it's harder because nothing has happened before that. But as we get deeper into it, they'll have plenty of questions and we'll talk about it. So we're really not going to talk about writing itself. We're going to talk about the story and the world and where it's going and what they're thinking. And I told them I want to make sure that we're not doing any spoilers. So it's going to be a discussion up to the point of where we're reading. But my hope is to not just have my two Uber fans, but we'd like to bring on a third fan, just a random person, that's a fan of my work every week to be a part of the discussion to add that little mix in there. So the read takes about 30 minutes because my chapters are usually pretty big, 4,000 to 5,000 words long. And then we'll spend about a 15, 20, 30 minutes discussing, however long the discussion takes to talk about things. It might get longer as we get deeper into the novel because a lot happens in that saga. But hopefully you guys will join me for that. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. You'll get to listen to an entire novel of mine. So please look for it. Author and the Fans. It will not be on the Releasing Your Inner Dragon. I'm going to start a new channel and all that other stuff. We'll definitely have the links down below. But please check that out. I'd appreciate you guys joining me over there.
All right. Let's cruise on to number 7. Despite its 2 burning lard lamps, the kitchen was dark, its air choked with the stink of rancid goat butter and spoiling goat meat. Spiders festooned the corners with sticky webs, boarding the husks of flies and suck-you-dries. A mud brick oven swallowed half the space between the door and the solitary window. There were 3 wooden shelves, 1 rickety wooden stool, and a scarred wooden table, almost unheard of in this land whose trees had ages since turned to stone. Crouched in the shadows beneath the table, the child with no name listened to the man and the woman fight. "But you promised," the woman wailed. "You said I could keep this one." The man's hard fist pounded the timber above the child's head. "That was before another poor harvest, slut. Before 2 more village wells dried up. All the coin it costs to feed it, and am I made of money? Don't you complain when it was born? I could have thrown it on the rocks. I could have left it on the anvil. But she can work, she, not like a son." His voice cracked like lightning, rolled like thunder around the small, smoky room. "If you'd whelped me more sons." "I tried. Not hard enough." Another boom of fist on wood. "The she-brat goes. Only the god knows when traders will come this way again." The woman was sobbing, harsh little sounds like a dying goat. "But she's so young." "Young? Its blood time is come. It can pay back what it's cost me, like the other she-brats you spawned. This is my word, woman. Speak again and I'll smash your teeth and black your eyes." When the woman dared disobey him, the child was so surprised she bit her fingers. She scarcely felt the small pain. Her whole life was pain, vast like the barren wastes beyond the village god-post, and had been so since her first caterwauling cry. She was almost numb to it now. "Please," the woman whispered, "let me keep her. I've spawned you 6 sons." "It should have been 11. Now the man sounded like one of his skin and bone dogs, slavering beasts who fought for scraps of offal in the stony yard behind their hovel. The child flinched. She hated those dogs almost as much as she hated the man. It was a bright flame, her hatred, hidden deep and safe from the man's sight. He would kill her if he saw it, would take her by one skinny scabbed ankle and smash her headfirst into the nearest red and ochre rock. He'd done it to a dog once that had dared to growl at him. The other dogs had lapped up its brains, then fought over the bloody carcass all through the long, unheated night. That's the first page.
Would not continue. Would
Okay.
not continue. First of all, I'm completely confused. It sounds like the child is both a newborn child and a 4 or 5-year-old at the same time simultaneously. And so that throws me off. Because they're talking about it's just been born. Like you just spawned it. But it's old enough to sit there and understand this stuff, and it actually has a history of life. It's seen things, it's experienced things. Unless they're talking about a different new. In which case you need to set the scene better.
Where did you read she's a newborn?
They're literally saying, you told me I could keep this one. You know, no, you should have birthed a son. Well, I tried. Like,
yeah,
not hard enough. This is not a conversation you have when the child is 4 or 5 years old. This is a conversation you have when the child is a week old.
Its blood time has come. Anyway, it didn't confuse me when I read it then or now, but yeah, I get it.
It's the same. I don't know how much I want to say about this because it has to do with the movie that I was hired to write that I just turned in.
So
but it's the same
I didn't feel confused here because I understood that the child is probably around 10, 11. From this line here.
You would feed a child for 10 years and then go, oh, that's it. Should have been a boy. Let's kill it.
They're not killing it. They're selling it.
Or getting rid of it. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
100% there were cultures that absolutely. How do you think people got sold?
Well, so I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the way they're talking about it is as if it's just been born. So maybe if the dialogue was changed.
Yeah. As I say, like for me, that didn't throw me out because I was like, I understood that the child obviously couldn't be a baby. And then it's like, but she can work. not like a son. And then she goes like, I got it. Like I got that it's a child that's being sold. But I mean, I get that you like. I can see how you didn't get
But
it.
like
Like,
on 231, if it said, but she is working the farm or whatever,
mm,
and he says, but
mm, not like a son. Yeah.
not like a son, then I'm like, okay, yeah, she's older. But the way it's presented here to me,
Mm,
it feels like he's screaming at her for birthing
yeah.
recently this child.
Yeah.
That's what the dialogue leads me to believe. And so I've
Yeah.
got this disconnect there. But also, I'm not connected to this child at all. This child is it's an omniscient kind of thing. There's nothing, I'm not feeling what this child is feeling.
Mm.
Um,
So I was in on this when I read it originally, and I think I still would be in on this because of my interest in how you handle a character like this.
is this the one we talked about
Oh yeah.
recently?
Yeah.
I Yeah. So again, at the beginning of this episode, I said there's two ways people buy books:
Yeah.
recommended by friends and look insides.
Yeah.
So right now you're doing the look inside. I wouldn't read this book.
Yeah.
I am going to read this book because recommended by a friend, a close friend, someone I actually trust. So,
No. But yeah, so
so
I was in on it because the it was such a weird start to me. Like I was like, how do you
it's
make this a
it's the
story?
only reason why I read Joe Abercrombie's First Law series.
Mm,
Not that Joe Abercrombie is not a good writer. I actually think he's a very
yeah.
good writer. But he's a grimdark writer, and I don't read
Mm,
grimdark. But literally, all my friends kept saying, "I can't believe that all the characters lose. You know, all the characters lost.
mm,
They didn't actually succeed in the mission." And I'm
yeah.
like, "There's no way they would write a trilogy where they fail, like Dragonlance, and then you just fail, or Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings, and you don't throw the ring. Like they're not doing that."
Mm,
And so I literally read it and did kind of suffer through it because, well, I shouldn't say that because I actually really enjoyed it once. It's just not a book that I would have read, but I
yeah.
read it because I wanted, no one recommended it to me. I read it because I was like, there's no way this ends the way people are talking about. I need to see it for myself.
Yeah.
But he is a really good writer. The thing that threw me out was I'm not a huge fan of the F-bomb in hardcore fantasy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't scream that. And
Fantasy.
I'm not as sensitive to it today as I was back then. But
Mm,
back then, that was the hardest thing that I had with the first Law
mm,
series was just the F bombs that were in there. And it was very modern vernacular.
yeah.
And it wasn't what I looked for back then as a reader. I
Yeah.
think it would be fine now for me, because he is a fantastic writer.
Yeah.
But I really just wanted to say it was the how do you do this?
Yeah. So
So that's
how do you
probably why
do
I'm going to
this?
read this.
How do you do this was what pulled me into this. And then I got very interested in this character's like
Right.
whole story.
But
But
but this is where we talk about if if this was more like that last one
mm,
that was, or no, the one before that,
mm,
um with the girl tumbling
yeah.
into the ass's ass, and I don't mean funny and silly, this is dark
Mm,
and
yeah.
serious, but if everything in this was about connecting me to her and what it feels like to be that no-name child underneath that table, and
Yeah.
the fear that's running through her and the uncertainty and what's going to happen to me and all of that, this would hook me 100%
Yeah.
because the situation is there.
Yeah.
But
See, the interiority or the lack of interiority is basically around like this. She scarcely felt the small pain. Her whole life
right,
was pain. Like she was almost numb to it. Like, and that's where you get the inkling. That was actually what hooked me. I was like, okay, so we're not doing like a brave slave story here, because this child is like a soldier suffering PTSD.
yeah,
That is
but I
a
think
terrible psychological thing to play with.
yeah,
Like,
but I think grounding to the actual age of the child grounding to like changing the dialogue a little bit so it doesn't feel like
Yeah.
it's the first time they've had this argument.
Yeah.
Because that's the other. It feels like the first time this argument has been had, and that is why I'm like, oh, this child is a newborn. But then as it goes even
Yeah.
further, it's like this child's way older than that. What's going
I,
on here?
I think part of the problem, like I think, like having read this whole chapter, what I would probably have recommended to the author is, since you do start with in free and direct, right? Start outside the hut where the slavers' caravan is waiting, because that is what ignited the argument. They're living in hole without water, like village, and the slavers' caravan arrived today, and who knows
And
when
that's
they'll
your
come
hook.
again. Yeah,
That's your
that's the
hook.
hook. Yeah. So I would
Yeah, not the
have
fact
said
that the
push it
kid's under the
out.
table and them arguing.
Yeah, push it out. Start with the slavers' caravan. Come into the hut, because that is your ignition point of the story. Is they've arrived, initiating the parents discussing selling her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would have seen the child. I would know
Yeah.
how old she is. I would know that. And then again, I do think the dialogue needs to be adjusted. It feels like this is the first
Yeah.
time they've had that argument. Like even her saying, like it would be organic to say, but it's been 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, why give up now?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And that's just an organic way to get me, oh, the child's 7,
Yeah.
or whatever. So
yeah, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if I was reading this and look inside, I'm out.
Yeah.
Probably gonna read it because it was recommended to me. But
by a friend who has weird tastes.
yeah. Well, I'm also interested in the journey of this character and
Yeah.
how the author explores that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting enough to me to want to read this piece.
Yeah. If you have the stomach for it, I do actually recommend this book. And I say the stomach for it not in a bad way, but like if you can tolerate, because there is a lot of trauma in here. Like, there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of violence against children, against women, against every, like people die. Like lots of bad things happen.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is as much violence as I write,
yeah,
I don't know if that's the type of violence that I don't know if I can stomach.
Yeah. So there is a lot of that kind of violence in here, but it is like it left such an impression on me. Like the way that she showed how much damage that early trauma does. Anyway, so that was 7, which it could definitely use more scenes, more clarity of scenes, I think. 8.
I think we're gonna fit through all 9 of them.
Yep. Carl Cullinan reached out his fork and speared the last stick of asparagus from the stainless steel serving plate in the middle of the table, not bothering to set the asparagus on his own plate before taking a bite. It was cold and mushy, almost tasteless. He swallowed quickly. Carl, you're a pig. A skinny one, granted, but a pig. Andrea Andropoulos' smile took most of the sting out of her words, pitched low enough so that nobody else in the crowded cafeteria would have been able to hear her over the clatter of dishes and the chatter of 100 or so students. Carl put it down with a natural gentleness. Hell, she'd been able to make him like it, almost, when she turned him down. Usually the let's just be friends routine drove him into a silent, stomach-churning rage. I gotta rush, Andy. There's a game tonight. He took another bit, added a mouthful of lukewarm black coffee and swallowed quickly. If I'm late, sure as hell they'll start without me. Put Barak out to pasture for the night. You mean they'll put him out to stud? She chuckled, revealing a mouthful of even white teeth. Carl liked her laugh, her smile. He had always thought that the notion of somebody brightening a room with a smile was just fantasy, until he had met Andy, that is. Not that he had anything against fantasy, quite the... It's bullshit, Carl, she said, smiling sweetly. Just an absurd male power fantasy. She reached out and stroked his skinny forearm with a long, dark finger. Was it tanned or not? Andy always seemed to find something better to do during the afternoon tanning hours than loll in the sun like some well-oiled roasting slug. Probably the olive tone of her skin was natural coloration. Maybe not. Of course, there was a way to tell. Trouble was, Carl had never had the chance to check her for bikini marks. Damn. No, it's just a game. A way to spend a little time, have a little fun. A little fun? She arched an eyebrow. You call pretending to chop up a pixie, rape a virgin or three, slice an ogre, you call that fun? Quirking a smile, she sat back in her chair, crossing her arms almost defensively over her blue velour pullover, which was amply filled out, but not tight. Carl liked that. Andy was more than a little pretty, but not an exhibitionist.
So this is interesting. From a first page, I've never looked at it from a first page standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of my favorite.
Yes, I know.
Even to this day, I still love this series, and I just reread it not too long ago. And it holds up. It's fantastic. And this is actually from before the thing that I'm reading right now that is killing me.
Yeah.
If this was coming to me from a writer, I would say, look, there's plenty of opportunity in here to actually get a hook, because there's no real hook in here.
No.
And
There's
that's
a
the
lot
big
of
thing that's
character,
missing.
but there's no hook.
Ton of character. Prose is awesome. It's showy. It's, it's all there, but there's no hook in the opening page.
Yeah. I'll tell you what hooked me when I originally read this is the back blurb.
Yeah.
Because the back blurb tells you like what's gonna. It's a portal fantasy.
Yeah.
One
of the first.
Yeah. So and that's what what hooks you. Because here he doesn't even know it's a portal fantasy. He knows nothing. He hasn't gone through the portal yet.
Right. Yeah. To me, this is just a much better version or much better stab at this genre than Andre Norton's Quag Keep.
Yeah.
And I like Quag Keep.
Yeah.
But this was far superior.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like this for the interiority. It would have been good to have a little bit more of a hook.
Just a hook.
Yeah.
So
because
from a
there's
first
a lot of
page,
great character work here, but there's no hook.
Yeah. Prose is great. Character work is great. Interiority is great. But this is why it's not a one type thing in prose. You have to balance it all.
Yeah.
So if this was a look inside and I had never read this before, you know what? I would definitely give it. I would keep reading because of the fact that the prose is nice. It's comfortable. It's easy to read. The images being painted in my mind, which is what I want. I'm not having to struggle to figure anything out. I'm not trying to figure out if it's a newborn that has the cognizance of a 10-year-old or, whatever. I'm just rolling with it. And so even though there's no hook, I think that's the thing that readers will probably give the most leniency to, because like it wouldn't be a book if there wasn't a conflict eventually. So they'll give it time. And I know that the funny thing is that I don't even think the hook happens for a little while.
No, it doesn't. There's like a lot of D&D playing and a lot of like flirting with Andy and so on.
I mean, there is between the characters.
But their first the hook happens at that first session.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. And that's like chapter 3 or 2 or whatever.
But by then you also like you've kind of
like the characters
because Carl asks Andy to come with him to D&D, and like as a D&D player I was like, oh okay, cool, we're gonna
yeah but the dynamics between Walter and Doria and the guy in the wheel, James, their dynamic is really interesting, and you fall in love with the characters and their relationships, and again, this is a very big character driven story. And so I mean, this is one of those that I would keep reading only because there's nothing in it to throw me out, even though there's nothing that hooks me that keeps me reading.
Yes.
Of course, this is one of my favorite series of all times, and everybody should read this.
Because we love it too much to be trusted, but it actually is like the character work is good, but it is missing a hook.
It just doesn't have a hook.
Yeah. All right. There were prodigies and portents enough, One Eye says. We must blame ourselves for misinterpreting them. One Eye's handicap in no way impairs his marvelous hindsight. Lightning from a clear sky smote the necropolitan hill. One bolt struck the bronze plaque stealing the tomb of the Forvalaka, obliterating half the spell of confinement. It rained stones, statues bled. Priests at several temples reported sacrificial victims without hearts or livers. One victim escaped after its bowels were opened and was not recaptured. At the fort barracks, where the urban cohorts were billeted, the image of Teux turned completely around. For 9 evenings running, 10 black vultures circled the bastion. Then one evicted the eagle, which lived atop the paper tower. Astrologers refused readings, fearing for their lives. A mad soothsayer wandered the streets, proclaiming the imminent end of the world. At the bastion, the eagle not only departed, the ivy on the outer ramparts withered and gave way to a creeper which appeared black in all but the most intense sunlight. But that happens every year. Fools can make an omen of anything in retrospect. We should have been better prepared. We did have 4 modestly accomplished wizards to stand sentinel against the predatory tomorrows, though never by any means as sophisticated as divining through sheep's entrails. Still, the best augurs are those who divine from the portents of the past. They compile phenomenal records. Berail totters perpetually, ready to stumble over the precipice into chaos. The queen of the jeweled cities was old and decadent and mad, filled with the stench of degeneracy and moral dry rot. Only a fool would be surprised by anything found creeping its night streets. I had every shutter thrown wide, praying for a breath of the harbour, rotting fish and all. There wasn't enough breeze to stir a cobweb. I mopped my face and grimaced at my first patient. Crabs again, Curly? He grinned feebly. His face was pale. It's my stomach, Croaker. His pate looked like a polished ostrich egg. Thus the name. I checked the watch schedule and duty roster. Nothing there he would want to avoid. It's bad, Croaker, really. I assumed my professional demeanor, sure it was. His skin was clammy despite the heat. Eaten outside the commissary lately, Curly? A fly landed on his head, strutted like a conqueror. He didn't notice. Yeah.
So things like this get brought to the writer's room all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so after it's finished reading, my first comment is always, okay. So I know for a fact, you know everything that's going on and you see everything and you're completely grounded in your own story in your head. No one else is. I have no freaking clue what the crap is going on. I don't understand it. And the funny thing is, I was actually out on word 8. The 8th word, I would have stopped reading and never read another single word. I refuse to read third person present tense. It is stupid. It is dumb. I'm an award-winning script writer. I write third person present tense because you have to write it in script. I will not read it in prose. It is dumb in prose. I will not.
You say that, but you have read mine.
But there was a plot device reason for it, and it aided the plot device.
Yeah.
That's different. But here's the thing. It's not in present tense after that.
Yeah.
That opening paragraph is in present tense, and then nothing else is. Even when you so whatever this 298 to 318 is, I have whatever weird hallucinogenic drug fueled trip that is. I don't know. I don't even know what it connects to. But I was expecting that once we got down to where the doctor's talking to the patient,
yeah,
it would go into present tense because that seems like that's where the story is starting. But it doesn't. It doesn't.
No. It never
so I
goes
don't
into
understand.
present tense again.
So I don't understand why the opening paragraph is in present tense. I don't know what this weird drug fueled hallucinogenic flashback thing is. And so I would never have continued reading because of this. Now, once we get into 320, so let's ignore everything before 320.
Skip the weird drug fueled haze.
And let's just take it on the first 3 paragraphs. There's some weirdness to it that, again, the author understands. I don't think he did a good enough job for us. Like on 324, thus the name. What? Like he grinned playfully. His face was pale. His pate looked like a polished ostrich egg, but his name is.
like bear in mind that that might be a copy. Like I'm not 100% sure. Let me just check. No, it does say that's the name. The OCR didn't screw up.
But I mean, it's talking about Curly.
Yeah.
Crabs again, Curly. The only reason why you would call a bald man curly is if you knew the Three Stooges. Like that's the only reference point that connects curly with bald. I mean, unless I'm missing some, I don't think there's any other references that colloquially we would
So
call a bald man
I'll
curly.
tell you afterwards. I'll tell you afterwards why it's called curly, but it's a different story.
Oh, well, it threw me out because I'm like, why is he
Yeah.
called curly? Because he's bald. That's not obvious to me.
Yeah.
But those last three paragraphs, they're well-written prose. I mean, it's the first three paragraphs, so I don't have enough to say that I would continue reading, and I'm already so far out because of everything that happened before it.
Because of the weirdness above, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there's something like if we had a full page from 320 on, maybe there's something in there that go, okay, all right. There's not in the first three paragraphs, but that's not fair. We're not judging the first
Yeah.
three paragraphs.
I got through this because I listened to this on audiobook. So the weirdness of this whole section just flowed past my ears without impacting me, you know. And I only really started the book down here.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you afterwards who it is and why like everything stays like this. You're never fully grounded. Yeah. But I might as well tell you now because we're at the end. This is Glenn Cook's Black Company. Yeah. And it is one of the most ungrounded, lazy fantasy series from a fantasy perspective I've ever read. You never know how the magic works. You never
Yeah.
know what the powers of the people. You never know any of that stuff. The reason why you read Glenn Cook is because the characters bound off the table. And the military fantasy aspect of it is phenomenal. And the reason why is because the characters are based on his squad mates from Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
He is writing like a soldier in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
And it is superb for that reason. But you are never fully grounded. Like I was never
Yeah.
grounded in any part of the world. The world just
Yeah.
kind of is there in the background.
Yeah.
It's like a little painted jingle and if you can write that well on a topic with such personal experience, you can get away with it. But then you had
So,
needed to have gone to Vietnam and survived it to come back and write the story.
yeah. So I have read this. Don't remember any of it, not even a single word. Because I was a teenager.
Yeah.
This is not a new book.
Yeah.
But maybe I was in my 20s. It's a long time ago. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But that was my take on Glenn Cook's whole thing. It's like the characters are so good. They jump off their interactions make sense. Their relationships make sense. Their situation in the war, everything is beautiful from that perspective, right? I have no idea how the world works.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't. It's just like a fairy tale in the background.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I think I read this when I was in the Marine Corps. It came out in 84.
Yeah.
And I was in the Corps from 86 to 90. So I think I actually read this in the Corps, and there's a lot of blurriness to that because there was just so much going on. And reading books was the least of my concern during that time. But the one thing I want to say to us, to people that are writing today, because we're modern audience, or we're modern writers because we're writing in 2025. This was published in 1984. Lord of the Rings was published in 1954, 55, somewhere around in there.
Yeah.
If like I've got one of my students that writes exactly like 1920s Conan. And I'm like, you're not going to find an audience today. He's like, but I love Conan
No,
and this is what
you
I'm
know,
like, okay, great. But it's not 1920.
upgrade your
It,
yeah.
it
The problem isn't
it's
even like
2020.
we are used to reading it a certain way. This is not how we're used to reading, right? So it is not an easy or natural feeling to read like this.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right?
Well, and the thing is that even though there's a lot of crap books still
Mm.
being written today,
Mm.
there's more and more and more better written books
Yeah.
today. Because first of all, we live in the information age, so people have access to things they didn't have before. I mean, you know, you got this podcast.
Yeah.
You've got my writer's room. You can come and join me and Marie
Yeah.
in the writer's room and work with us with your writing on a weekly basis. Like that stuff
Yeah.
didn't exist in the past. You know, you hear the tales of like how some big published authors were in a writers group together and they all came up together and you're like, wow, you know, what luck those guys had because you
Mm.
didn't have the access to anything back then like that. You know,
Mm.
you find out stories like how Howard and Moorcock and what's his name that did the Cthulhu stuff. They were pen pals. They were
Yeah.
constantly you know mailing each other letters back and forth and talking about different things and everything like that. We don't we didn't have that really in the 80s. It was a much harder thing to get. And so people are learning more and more about writing
Mm.
the more we go forward. And so more writers are becoming better writers.
Yeah.
Which means you're competing against that. So if you're trying to write like 1920s, you know, Conan, it's going to stand out as a bad written piece. It's not going to stand out as, oh, look at how nostalgic this is, and it's exactly like you know Howard wrote, and it's so great. It was, wow, that's really dated, dude. It's bad, and that's
Yeah.
bad. It's not what we're
So
looking for.
yeah. So this is Glenn Cook's The Black Company, which I have read and did finish, but on audiobook, as I said.
It's been a
And
while for me.
yeah, I would like I would say read Glenn Cook for his character work, but be aware that you are never going to be grounded in that world. it's it's you're reading it for the military characters. That's what you're reading it for. Like know
All
what
right.
you're getting into.
Well, we're at the end.
Yeah.
So let's do some
Reveals. Okay. So the first
attribution.
attributions. I want to talk
Is it
about
attributions?
one which you were out on and 5 that you were in on. They are the same author.
Really?
Yes. This is his first book. This is his latest book. And it's Joe Abercrombie.
There you go.
So
You
that
know, and
that half a king.
I've been looking at his new book and I've almost
Yeah.
bought it a handful of times over this last year as I've been exploring books that I don't normally read.
Yeah.
So Abercrombie just
Yeah.
got a sale.
Yeah.
Won't be going back and reading his first book.
No. So that first book is the first book of him that I ever read. And it took me ages to decide to read the first Lord trilogy because I didn't enjoy that half a king business.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The first Lord series was good.
Yeah, but that was his first book, and then he wrote the first Lord trilogy. Now this is his latest. This is the Devils, which is apparently not as grimdark. Apparently he was trying for a more mainstreamy fantasy.
I'm in. Like I'm gonna stop reading the book that I'm reading right now from the 80s because I'm killing my childhood anyway. And this will be the next book that I read.
Yeah. So this is the number 1 was Half a King by Joe Abercrombie, and number 5 was The Devils by Joe Abercrombie.
Yeah, I've been like I said, they're advertising the crap out of it right now.
Yeah,
it's come up many a time for me. Every time I hit Amazon, it's like you would enjoy this book. I'm like, but would I?
Would I though?
I mean, I he's a solid writer, but would I? And I've almost clicked that button. I can't tell you how many times in the last 6 months I've almost bought that book.
Yeah.
So good for him, man.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that, you know, like like Pataloni from
Mm,
Aragon. Like the first book is passable, but it isn't great.
yeah.
It's not great at all. But by the fourth book of the Aragon series, he became a pretty solid writer. It's still
Mhm.
he was trapped inside the 16-year-old version of D&D
Yeah.
story. But as he's moved away from that and as he's grown as a writer, like his stuff has gotten good. I mean,
Yeah.
he's getting better and better and better as he's been moving on. And he's been doing it now for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, you can, like with Abercrombie, you can, the difference is night and day between the two
oh,
books,
it
you
was
know?
difference between his first book and his second book then, because I
Yeah.
never read the first book.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
night and day
amazing.
difference. So there you go, guys. Book number 1 by Joe Abercrombie, not not that great. This one.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
be buying that as soon as well, I got a private client meeting here in a minute, but after that is this will be the next book that I start, and I will start it today.
Book 2 with the orc and the walking away from the adventurer life is Travis Baltree's Legends and Lattes, which is a cozy fantasy. She goes on to buy a coffee shop and run a
What's
coffee
the name
shop.
of the book?
Legends and Lattes by Travis Baltree. The one that started with the dude in chains and the rat eatingness was Daughter of the Blood by Anne Bishop. Story number 4, the one that started with a woman lying underneath a dead guy, is Glenda Lark, Stormlord Rising. 5 we've spoken about. 6 is Empire of Black and Gold by Adrian Tchaikovsky. That's the battle scene, the slightly omniscient guy.
I didn't realize that's who that was.
Yeah, yeah, it's Adrian Tchaikovsky's. He is more
Never read him.
famous for his science fiction, but this is
Right.
his big fantasy series. This is his 10-book fantasy series, and it is. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all 10 of them.
It's funny because this is a series that I've poked at reading for.
Mm,
I mean, this has been out for a while.
yes, yeah, it came out in
Um,
2014, the first book.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is something that I've actually poked at and thought about, but I just never pulled the trigger on. So
Mm,
this is a maybe for me. I'm not
yeah,
100% sure if I will go there.
yeah,
Um, if it's on Kindle Unlimited or something like that, I might read it just because I'd like to see that battle scene next. And
mm,
then if that hooks me, we'll see about getting because I don't read Unlimited literally, even because I get Unlimited as part of
yeah.
the Amazon package. I don't read anything on Unlimited. I use Unlimited as a sample. Like I want to sample something. If it's on Unlimited, I'll sample it. And then if I like
Yeah,
it, I actually buy it. I
yeah.
don't I don't finish it on Unlimited. I've never read anything on Unlimited.
It's also worth doing on audiobook. Actually,
Well,
the narrator's quite good.
that's actually when I say I'm reading a book, I have to read it in
Yeah,
audio. Because the only way I can do it as a fan. Otherwise,
yeah,
the nitpicky stuff grates on me. When it's being read to me, I don't see the nitpicky. Like if I wasn't
mm,
looking at your screen while you're reading it, I
yeah,
wouldn't be able to edit these. You know,
yeah,
I need to actually put eyes on it. And so if I'm going to read for enjoyment, I have to do it as an audiobook.
yeah.
I'm too ruined.
So, story 7 is Empress by Karen Miller of the Godspeaker trilogy. That is the very, very, very damaged person that comes with trigger warnings. So many trigger warnings. Be aware of what you're getting into. um, 8 is Joel Rosenberg's The Sleeping Dragon.
Everyone who is into fantasy should read the Guardians of the Flame saga
Yes.
series. It is awesome. It is everything
Yeah.
that you want in fantasy. The after when you get into the characters after the characters, it's just like reading the kids in Dragonlance.
Mm.
It's not
Yeah, yeah.
quite as
Not
good,
quite as good. But the
but through
first
the
6
characters'
books.
lives is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Could
And
not
then
recommend.
9, as we said, is Glenn Cook's The Black Company.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yep. All right. Hopefully you guys got a few of these.
Now, let us know in the comments what you thought, what your take on it is, whether you're going to rush out and buy any of them. And I think that is a good note on which to end this episode. We will see you soon for another one.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Marie Mullaney, your co-host on this literary adventure. Our goal is to provide you with valuable insights and discussions on writing. If you believe in our mission, please like and subscribe our podcast. Sharing our episodes with your community not only helps us grow, but also contributes to a richer, more diverse conversation about storytelling. We appreciate your support. For a deeper understanding of the topics we've discussed, head over to Just in Time Worlds on YouTube. It is a treasure trove where fantasy meets history and science. Every Tuesday, you'll find new videos that delve into the intricacies of world building, drawing from our rich real-world history. Whether you're a writer, a role player, or just a fantasy enthusiast, Just in Time Worlds offers unique insights that will enrich your perspective. Check it out and join the journey of crafting incredible worlds.
If you are ready to take your writing to the next level and work with a group of highly motivated, dedicated writers who are all working to not only improve their writing, but improve your writing, plus you get to work with me on a weekly basis, then I'll encourage you to check out writersroom.us. This is a website that I have created that I really wish I had 30 years ago. It's everything a writer needs to become a better writer. Not only do we do weekly critique sessions, both from other members as well as me, we have daily writing sessions, I do monthly classes, Q&As, we have activities, I do all sorts of learning exercises, such as I do a quarterly writing prompt contest, and just tons and tons and tons of things. So if you're ready to get serious about your writing and you want to actually finish that novel and have a chance of it being published, then I encourage you to head on over to the Writer's Room and join me there. And as a special promotion for listeners of Releasing Your Inner Dragon, I'll go one step more. If you would like to get 50% off for 3 months, reach out to me. There's a million ways you can do that. You can do it through starvingwriterstudio.com, drakeu.com, any of my social medias such as LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever. Reach out to me, say that you would like to check out the Writer's Room for 50% off, and I will send you a link that will allow you to do just that. So hopefully you're ready to start getting serious about writing, and I'll see you in the Writer's Room.